Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Dario and Tamas from Everland Studio. Their debut title, Robo Rescue Origins, a free, yes, free robot family building game, is currently on Kickstarter. Gentlemen, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
Hey, James.
Hi, James. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
having
much
us.
for having us.
Oh, it's so
Yes.
awesome having the two of you here. Very quickly, some people may actually recognize one of the faces on the screen. Tamas, we had you on as part of Lemery Games. I think it's back episode 189, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to have you back on the podcast. And just to be clear, Lemery Games still exists. This is just yet another joint venture you're part of now, right?
Yeah. So basically, Lemery Games was founded about 5 years ago together with my partner, Krisztina. And we are still very much doing it. Every year we bring new games and through crowdfunding. And yeah, actually, that's how kind of Everland Studio came to be, because we decided, like, let's make a bigger team for another publisher. So it's kind of a sister brand also to Lemery Games. And that's how Dario joined the team, and also game designers and stuff. So we are like kind of a bigger team bringing indie games to life with Everland Studio.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, and for those who haven't checked out that past episode, check it out. Man, that hook you guys have where you kind of travel the world and go these different little nooks and crannies, and you find kind of a game that's part of the local culture, and then you bring a contemporary version out, is such a neat thing to see. And the games are predominantly abstract, I would say. But you give them these nice kind of like hooks, and you wrap them in these just beautiful themes. And congrats on that. And also want to congratulate you on the new addition to your family. All the best to you and your partner.
Thank you so much.
So Dario, you're now part of Everland Studio here. How did you guys kind of meet? Like, how did the two of you guys kind of get together?
Well, James, we actually met. Tamas was launching his Kickstarter campaign, the Ludus America campaign.
Yep.
Personally, I'm a board game lover. I'm from Colombia. I used to work in some other projects related to the board game industry in the past. I'm also a creator, a board game creator, by the way. I launched some of my games in Colombia back in those days. Now, as I told you, I'm in Madrid. But once I discovered that Tamas and Krisztina were doing something related to ancient board games, and specifically in America, I had worked in something similar, and that's when I reached out and I told them, like, hey guys, I'm here, I'm Dario, I love what you do, I'm really passionate about board games as well, so we should have a chat. And that's when we met. Then we actually came across in Hungary. We met with with the author of Robo Rescue Origins, and I fell in love with this project. I fell in love with what they do, how to engage with the community. Not only they're not only focused on creating amazing board games, but they also engage with community, and that's something that it's pretty much remarkable. Yeah.
Oh wow. What brought you to Madrid? What got you to kind of cross the pond?
Sure, James. I'm currently studying a master in neuro marketing, it's called. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm passionate about marketing, and it's like a branch of marketing where you just not focus on conscious decisions, but also on the subconscious, everything what's besides, like the brain, all the activity, everything that we're not conscious about. And that's what I like to focus on.
Oh, that's amazing. I remember I had a marketing background. I went to school for marketing
Really?
several decades ago now. And I remember we had this project. It was on, we did this whole thing on, we each had to come up with something we want to do, like a little mini thesis on. And I was studying at the time on this whole concept of atmospherics and how your environment can influence your decisions, right? And we actually set up a trial in a local bagel shop that had, like, as a coffee bagel shop. And
Yeah.
we had certain days where we had a high tempo music, and we had other
Hmm.
days when we had slow tempo music. And we compared the results. It was amazing to actually see that something as simple as the tempo of music would impact how fast the servers are moving. So we found the servers themselves are actually moving at a much faster clip and were more efficient in their job with a faster tempo. And
Hmm.
the people didn't stay around in lounge as much, so the lines moved faster, and so the throughput was quicker. And the whole concept for me was like, wow, this is like some of the reading I had done at the time was, there's a reason why, if you go back 20 years ago, if you went into any McDonald's, the chairs are really hard and uncomfortable and the music is kind of quirky. It's all designed for you to leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want you to stay, right?
Yeah.
Because,
Restaurants aren't actually interested in you to stay because that's
yeah,
less money for them. Yeah, they need to like do a big sale and then you just go
Well,
off, go
it's
yeah.
called
home.
fast food, right? So
Fast food. But if you have one where they serve a lot of alcohol, for instance, those restaurants will typically dimmer lights, slower music because they actually want you subconsciously to stay longer because you're probably going to drink more and order more product, right? So
Yeah.
it's just this whole idea of atmosphere. So it's such a cool field. It's just
yeah.
something that kind of, I'm sure you're constantly thinking of how can I now employ this in the board game industry? Like, what is it I can do to kind of leverage in this industry? And it's kind of maybe offline. You can, send me some of your ideas on how you're doing it because it's I find it absolutely fascinating. So the two of you guys came together. You created Everland Studios, and it was all around this idea of this Robo Quest. Now, you had mentioned you had come from Colombia. How big was the board game industry in Colombia, Dario? Is it large or like?
Uh, well, James, it wasn't when I started. I started
Yeah.
basically when the pandemic hit,
Oh, okay.
because I had a company and everything went down with COVID. So I just try to make a work out of my passion for board games. But the industry wasn't pretty much developed by then. Nowadays, like you can say, like since the last year, you're starting to find like a more developed community. Some board game designers are starting to go to Latin America to show their board games, but still
Mm.
it's a work in progress. I mean, it has nothing to do with what you find here in Europe, for example, what you find there in the United States. I mean, it's not the same, but still it's growing.
A lot of the artists I've actually found for some of the games I've worked on have been in Latin America, right? And like the talent there is awesome, and it's always cool to kind of see these different regions starting to kind of expand into that kind of whole hobby area, and taking something like art and saying, okay, now how can I kind of tap into this emerging category, right? And lend their talents. And certainly we've had some very talented artists working with us on it. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Um,
we struggled a little bit, for example, with the manufacturing thing, for example, because you don't find you don't find, for instance, somebody that creates games that manufacture games in Colombia. We lack of that industry experience, so you have to rely on international companies that have like more experience in these terms. Also, for example, you cannot create a Kickstarter campaign from Colombia, so there are some like laws issues that you
mm,
come across in the road that you probably don't think that it will affect, but it does,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Wow. And then so with RoboQuest, how did you guys like where did the idea for this game come from?
Well, this game, oh, Thomas.
No, okay. So like we were together, like Everland Studio is about bringing games of designers who are not really known worldwide but have great games. We want to help those games come to life. So we were playing this game, Robo Rescue. It's a board game from the designer of Robo Rescue Origins, which is the current campaign. And while playing the board game, which we were going to bring to life also under Everland Studio, the designer of Robo Rescue showed us another little card game, which was about putting different clothings together, like hats, with t-shirts,
Okay.
and shoes and stuff.
Yeah.
So then we said, okay, like this is a great game, like let's do something about it. And we thought, hey, with Robo Rescue, the board game, you have this story where you have an abandoned research facility on Mars, and you have robots running around there, and you as the engineers want to get your robots back somehow from this research facility that was abandoned. So you are building your own ship. We're gathering different supplies and parts in the research facility, and your engineer is giving you commands on how to gather these. And then we said, okay, but there is also like a story missing, like how those robots got to be, how they got there. And that's how we said, okay, like we have this game where we are putting things together. So we said, let's do a game where you are building the robots, like you are the engineers building robots that are then going to Mars. So that's how the card game Origins became the prequel to the board game.
And then how does it integrate with, so to be clear for the audience, so the campaign you have running right now, which you still got 7 days left on, is for the card game specifically. And then you can even see the preview. If I go into like your profile, I can see you've already set up the next game to come, which is, I'm sure you're collecting, lead gens and things like that on there, and follows for the actual board game. How are those two going to integrate when you launch the board game?
Okay, so they're independent games. So
Okay.
Robo Rescue Origins, it's essentially a solo card game. But what we love about a lot is that it has like this addiction where you want to beat your own score every time, and it also can be played multiplayer. So like if you take a deck, give a deck to everyone around the table, you can play simultaneously in 10 minutes, and then you see who did the best. So,
Got
but
it.
it's a different game. Like the mechanic, it's basically a set collection, and the board game is going to be a program movement, resource gathering. So it's kind of more complicated.
So thematically, they're part of the same kind of story universe, I
Mhm.
guess, is the way to say it then,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah, the same universe. Yes, just as our brand name stands for, like Everland Studios, we wanted to share not just like amazing mechanics and amazing artwork, but we also wanted to like create some storytelling around board
Mm.
games. And that's what we are doing. Basically, what just Tamas said here in Robo Rescue Origins. Feel free to create your robots, and then the same robots you created in this prequel, then those are the same robots that you're supposed to rescue from Mars in our main board game, which is launching in fall. Yeah.
Got it. And then, so this whole concept of free, walk me through this. Like it's so interesting, like because it stops you in your tracks, right? When you're scrolling through the different Kickstarter campaigns and you see one that says free, right? Like, well, just pick your pledge
Yeah.
and you get the game for free. What was the decision process of why to take that approach? And then kind of walk me through like how does it work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course. Yes. So basically, just as we said, James, since it's like the prequel, we wanted people to be engaged of this universe without any barrier. I mean, we wanted to take all barriers down and inviting backers to experience this new saga uh, in a risk-free way, removing every barrier, which is, of course, price in this case. Um, Let us make this game accessible to everyone. So basically, what we are saying is that we know you're gonna love this game, and we know that you're gonna feel engaged with this saga. So that's why once you test it out, once you play this game, we guarantee that you will want more. And that's when we're going to launch our next campaign. So people have already have a taste of what this universe is, and they will say, okay, I'm going for the next campaign, which is our Robo Rescue board game. That's why we did it, basically.
So the idea is that get people hooked, and then once they're kind of hooked in, then the hope is that now when you come with the board game as a follow-up, they're gonna
Yeah,
jump in and grab that.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
basically.
So basically, we wanted people to, like, Everland Studio is a new publisher. Like it's the
Mm.
first campaign, so we also wanted people to feel that like we are here, and that's why we are communicating throughout the campaign, and we are here to answer your questions. We are here in this podcast, and we wanted to give them like something first, which is a free game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's our way to say hello. We're here. We want to hear you. I mean, it's something really. I wouldn't say like it's a marketing thing at all. We're trying to know our backers, to hear our community. They're already sending out some cool ideas for our next campaign. We're trying to listen, to get close to the community. We've also launched some. I don't know if you've seen our campaign, but we've launching also some challenges, some Robo challenges, so
Yeah.
people can really engage not just to the game but also to the campaign, which has
So it's
led.
like, yeah, and it's not something like no one is obliged to back the future board game. It's something like if people joined us for this free game campaign and they love it, they receive it, they play it, and that's also fine. Like we are just here to say hello with this game and then see what happens.
So that's kind of the altruistic kind of approach. But let's jump into kind of the marketing side of it, right? Because, I think the learning here is for someone else who's maybe looking at taking a similar approach. This is approach to take, right? And I actually had a colleague in the industry I was just talking to recently who was saying, they were pitching a game to me, and I said, well, I'm not doesn't really fit our portfolio and kind of what we're looking at doing right now in terms of the size of games we're doing. But if you launch this yourself, one approach could be take a pay what you want kind of approach, which is similar to like a free game thing, right? And if I look at your page right now, although it is $0 to participate, you guys have still raised. I'm gonna put this in Canadian dollars because it's the only way I can see it. $22,000, $500 roughly, 3,335 backers. So there's the option when people are in there doing their pledge. I just did a pledge earlier today that says, okay, do you want to add any bonus support, right? And there's that kind of you're getting something, so you feel like there's a reciprocity there, right? That you want to give something back, right? And of course, you're in there like, I'm getting these three copies of this game for free. Yeah, I'll give them $10. I can do $10, right? Well, if you have 3,000 backers that are doing on average, just playing the laws of averages or, $5, $10 bonus support, you're still going to generate enough funds to actually manufacture that game, right?
Yeah.
The risk is obviously that if nobody does that, then you're paying for the manufacturing entirely out of pocket. Good news is it's not incredibly expensive to make card games that are in a tuck box. That's one of the least expensive productions you can do, right? So, there's a little bit of risk there, but you've got on the other side, there's more upside than there is risk in terms of that, at least letting you kind of walk away in a break-even position. Once you're in your break-even position, you still have the benefit of now 3,335 people so far with 7 days to go. They're now added to your email list. So now those are leads, right? So people just paid for their own lead that they gave to you that you can use for the next robot game. You got people who have a vested interest in the universe, right? And you've got another game coming as part of the same narrative universe. So now if I get this game and I love it, I've got a vested interest. Well, I want now to have all the robot stuff, right? That comes in this
Mhm.
universe. So, from a marketing perspective, I find this is quite a clever approach, right? And it's one that I think a lot of people probably don't take because they think there's way more risk in there than there likely is. Is that kind of your same? Do you have that same kind of
Yeah,
Yeah,
analysis
yeah,
of this
like
as well?
it's been, of course, like under Lemery Games, I think we were the first to do a pay what you want campaign, and
Yeah,
that's how we ended up in your podcast with the pay what you want campaign,
yeah,
right? For a physical game. That was also like something with Krisztina we were discussing, like this is a big risk. Like if people just give $1 for this game, like we're bust. Like, but
yeah,
then we thought to ourselves, okay, I think we thought that crowdfunding was for people who are rather generous, and we kind of knew the community on crowdfunding. So we said, okay, like maybe 4 or 5 average we can count with, and that's good. That could be a good break even for us,
yeah,
and yeah, it worked. For this one, as it's free, it was like we were and we are ready to give away the games then and make a loss, basically, because that's what probably gonna happen, because like people are not just giving us extra because it has a price, right? So with the bonus support you mentioned, like, and even if they do give some bonus support, I think they will use it for shipping, like, because in the pledge manager, the
Mm,
bonus support is going to be a credit on their account,
got it.
and yeah, so it's going to disappear for shipping.
Yeah. That's fair. I think that and that is the caveat here too, right? Is that you guys there's still you still charging for shipping. It's not a lot. And I've looked at your shipping grid, which is I mean it's very, very reasonable. Are these shipping straight from manufacturer? Is that kind of the plan? Like as a small package, right?
Yeah, so we try to ship all, actually not all, but most of them, yeah, straight from the manufacturer. And that's how we are also kind of, first we thought that we would be able to fulfill by December, so
Yeah.
that's what we gave. But now we are kind of advancing it to October or something.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah,
Yeah. But even like that, right? So if anybody was going to take this kind of approach, I think that's the reco is you still have to make sure you're collecting shipping, right? You have to charge shipping,
Mhm.
otherwise you're going to take a
Yeah,
bath, right? I can't
yeah.
imagine shipping out 3,500 packages and subsidizing that. That'd be quite costly. But
Yeah.
the manufacturing, that is something that even if you got zero people giving you bonus support, I think that the nut isn't so large on a minimum run that you couldn't fund that yourself with the same kind of budget you would have used for like, are you guys doing marketing ads on top of this? Like, are you running meta ads as well, or
Just a little, yeah, a little,
a
not
little?
much.
Yeah, because you gotta think, right? So if I look at like one of my last campaigns, the acquisition cost I think was in around it was actually had gone up. I think it was around like 18, $19 US.
Wow.
So per person that bought a game, it cost me $19 US in cost to get that person, right?
Hmm.
And so leads are very expensive, right? And qualified leads and leads that convert into purchase, right? Those are where you're gonna have the largest cost. Well, if you can do it for say your manufacturing cost on one of these is say $354, that might even be on the high end. That's a really lucrative lead gen cost, right? $4. Like there's people who are paying that just to get an email, let alone a purchase, right? You guys are getting a pledge for that. So when you kind
Yeah.
of work out the math that way and kind of think outside the box and look at these as kind of just widgets and where am I putting the dollars to generate those leads, this starts looking really, really attractive. I'm not sure you could do this on a larger game. Have you guys, like in your past, Thomas, on any of your games, have you guys ever tried this model on something larger?
No, no, like also
Be
the
too
pay what
risky, I
you
think,
want
eh?
we did, it was also a small game. So I think this only works for small games. Like
Yeah.
obviously, like you mentioned your $19 game, like no way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, there's no way, right? Well, that was a
You-
cost. I mean, the
Yeah,
actual game itself sold for like 100 US, right?
yeah. But
But
even pay what you want, you wouldn't be able to do for that.
impossible. Yeah,
Yeah.
impossible. But now, and I was talking to another colleague again the past couple of days. It was asking like, "Hey, how do you build an audience?" And then we had this whole debate over like, crowdfunding versus crowdfinding, right? And how Kickstarter is a
Mm,
crowdfunder, it's not a crowdfinder. You
mm,
have to bring the crowd, and you got to find a way to generate that crowd.
yeah.
Um, Here you are, you've got, by the time this is done, you might be close to 4,000 people you're going to have now going into that database, right? In terms of now people you can hit on future games and so forth. So it's quite clever. You don't see a lot of people take this approach, but it's really
Yeah.
cool when you see it
We
work.
know one, like, when we did the pay what you want thing,
Yeah,
I kind of think that, no, actually it was before. So before we did the pay what you want, I don't know if you know about the campaign called Clash of Decks.
I think
The
so.
guy, so they did a free game also, like only paid shipping, and he had like, but it was, I don't even know how he did that honestly, but 20,000 backers or something for their first campaign. You only paid shipping, and then from that, he launched the second edition of Clash of Decks for a low cost, and then the third, and then since then he went into other games and stuff. But yeah, he built an audience with the first free game, That's how we actually ended up with the pay what you want thing, because we started thinking, okay, how could we do something like this? And we said, okay, a free game? No, I don't think so. And that's how we ended up at the pay what you want.
Amazing. Certainly, I think you guys got to be happy with where you've landed here. You know, at 22,500 Canadian on a free campaign. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is amazing. For Dario, so is this, I know you've designed other games, but is this your first kind of campaign that you've done on Kickstarter?
No, as I told you, I've helped some other companies launching Kickstarter campaigns, so I have some experience. I try to put that into the table for this new brand.
Yeah.
But of course, this is a one-of-a-kind campaign. I've never been in something similar to this campaign, because the fact of being free makes it like a little bit more challenging, because
Right.
you, just as you mentioned, there are a lot of risks that probably you don't find in like more common campaign.
Yeah. But this is the first one that you're the direct kind of, like, you've helped other people, obviously you've got experience, and I'm
Yeah,
not going down the path of experience, but this is the first kind of campaign that's been like you, right? Where this is your baby, right?
yeah, for sure, for sure. I fell in love since the first moment. Tamas told me about that. I was like, I want to be part of this. I told Tamas and Krisztina. I told them like 1 year ago we were talking with them,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I'm here in Madrid. 1 year ago when I was in Colombia actually, and now one year after I'm here in Madrid and collaborating with them. It's been an amazing experience. So yes, I wouldn't change myself for anyone in the world at this point.
Do you guys ever meet
Um,
in person, or is it always like virtually, or?
yeah. We met in person a couple months ago. We're going to meet again in Essen because we are going
Oh,
to
nice.
Essen.
Yeah.
So we'll be there also.
Oh, that's fantastic. So where do you guys go from here? Like, what's next after this campaign? Like, have you guys kind of mapped out? Is there other games coming, or is it just kind of this one you're focused on, then the Robo Rescue board game, or like how have you kind of mapped out this journey over the next few years?
Yeah, so the Robo Rescue board game is definitely next. And for next year, we are still brainstorming on which direction to take, like what type of game to pick. And obviously, like as I mentioned, so we try to bring games from different designers to life. So we stick to the one that made Robo Rescue, or we look for someone else, or because we want to try to help as many people as possible, because I know there are a lot of great games there that don't get published. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's
we'll see.
amazing. Well, for those who want to check this out, I will put a link in the show notes, or you can just go to Kickstarter and type in Robo Rescue. You'll find it. Probably will hit your For You page, just given the whole free concept. Like, it's again, it's just get my mind around this. I mean, it is so cool. So check out the show notes and see if this is something that interests you. Guys, I want to wish you all the best on this campaign. I can't wait to see how it ends. I'm going to be rooting for you. I've already backed it, so I can't wait to actually try the game. And
Thanks, James.
let's just see where this thing lands. You're entering into the hockey stick, and you still got 7 days to go. So again, I want to wish you all the best.
Thanks, James.
Thanks so
Nice
much.
chatting.
We
All right,
appreciate it. Thank you so much for having us.
no worries. You take care. Cheers.
You too.
You
Cheers.
too.
This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.